at the end of it, so you, at least you have a recording of it. So. But basically what I wanted to do, like I was kind of talking a little bit about before, I'm going to go over the website, kind of talk a little bit about it, how you can use it, and then how we're going to develop it going forward. And then we're going to flip over and kind of look at some of the prerequisites that we want you to begin cleaning up within not only MindBody, but with also in the assessment software as well. So we're kind of run through some of those. And then the last piece that we're going to run through today is I'm actually going to give you your login from the business side of things within the assessment software, walk through that to kind of understand what's going on with that, and then train you or teach you how to actually create the rest of your instructors. And then basically once you have those tools, then you can start building out your instructors in the next couple days and then doing some of the MindBody assessment software cleanup, and then you are ready to actually implement it into your studio and start using it for the assessment. And then at the end, basically, I'll be answering any questions that you might have with any of it that I covered today. So that's kind of what we're going to do in the next 45 to 50 minutes here. So like you said, can you see my screen at this point? I just want to make sure.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as you said, you've already kind of looked a little bit around the actual website. Basically what this is going to be is a tool where we're going to keep all of our, how-to tutorials, and then this is also going to be a main focal point. If you have any questions, concerns, if you want to see any different configurations within the system, I'll actually show you how to submit some of those forms into the system. So as you see here, the first page that we're kind of going through is going to be a little bit of here's what to expect within the website. As you can see, the group updates, basically any kind of notes, any kind of things that are pushed out from an assessment software side of things. If they were doing updates, I'm actually going to put it in our group updates that there's going to be a software release and they're fixing X, Y, Z, or they're going to be implementing another assessment test, and here's how you access it, and here's what we're recording. So a lot of that information is going to be pushed into the group update. The next one is going to be your project plan and deliverables. This is just kind of a high-level overview of what we're planning on doing for the next 3 months with this pilot group. One of the things that I do want to highlight here is going to be this date of 2/20 to 2/27. Our thought process is we're going to at least implement it into the studios, the assessment side of things, have your trainers start working with it, basically on like an assessment side only, and then within about 30 days, we're going to actually implement the heart rate monitoring system, which is just going to basically bring in the rest of your clientele. So anybody that's coming for a one-on-one training, or if they're coming in for the assessment, you can start tracking some of the calorie burns, some of the heart rate monitoring, which I know you already do within your studio at this point, but that's kind of the thought process when we're going to start introducing it into your studios. Some of the studios have asked the question, if we get it implemented and let's say that everything is functioning fine and we want to go early with the heart rate monitoring system, we absolutely can. As long as you guys are comfortable with it, we can kind of execute it on our side. And it roughly takes about a week to get everything ordered and then implemented into your studio, and then there will be additional training that we'll have to do after that. So I just wanted to point that out, that we're not going to do it right away, but it'll be coming up within the next 30 days unless you decide to push a little bit forward on that particular thing. The next section is just project deliverables. It's just basically what we've committed to. You can certainly review that if you'd like. Next tab is going to be your prerequisite. So within this tab, a lot of the stuff, and some people have been part of the beta group, so they kind of know some of the information that's not currently functioning within the system, but I at least wanted to highlight it here. So even though we're rolling this out to the pilot group, we do know and have been working with FitMetrics on the assessment side of things to continue building out the connection between MindBody and within the assessment software. So as you can see here, one of the first bullet points is, we know and we're going to have scheduling from the assessment software, but currently we're asking that all pilot groups, until we roll that functionality out, to do all of their scheduling, all of the updating of scheduling. All new clients are going to be created within MindBody, and then we're going to have you suck them into the assessment software. Until we roll that out within the actual assessment software, the scheduling functionality, you will see it. You will think that it is active and working, but I just wanted to let people know that it's not currently pushing back to MindBody. So even though you schedule something and it shows up within the assessment software, not necessarily going back into MindBody. So you just want to make sure that you're aware of that. And then the other one that I want to highlight is the report builder on the assessment software from the trainer side. So when you log in and you look at a member, you actually can see that potentially you can build a report based off of the assessment that you just functioned, even though you can open it, click on the boxes, but once you click generate report, it doesn't do anything. We're in the final stages of building that out and testing that with them at this point, so it should be within the next probably 30 days that we're going to see some of those releases as far as the scheduling portion and the report builder come out. So I just wanted to highlight that. And once again, check back here to see where things are sitting, and it could help you troubleshoot why something might not be working. So that's the current system note. The next one is going to be technology. I've had a lot of questions as far as what do I absolutely need within my studios to make sure I can actually use this assessment software. I've been telling everybody that as long as you have a tablet, PC, whatever it may be, as long as you have access to the internet and some sort of computer that accesses the internet, you have the minimum requirements to actually begin using the assessment software. Now, as studios begin using it and implementing it into their processes, you can always look at ways to, how do we really want to implement this studio to studio? We're not going to say hard and fast that everybody has to have a tablet within each room. It's kind of left up to you guys based off of how you want to use it day in and day out. So, and basically what I've built out here is if you want to dig a little bit deeper and you want to start looking at building out a little bit more robust technology platform for this technology, this kind of gives you a minimum requirements that would be helpful within your studios. And if you ever have questions on it, like it says down here, please go to the feedback forms and submit a question under other, and we're more than happy to help you with that. The last portion of it is going to be your data cleanup and system configurations. This is going to be a little bit more of what we're going to cover today. So anything or any time that you roll into a new studio, let's say you decide to expand by another studio, this would be kind of a checklist that you want to go through before you introduce it into your studio. And it's simply as, once again, reviewing your MindBody staff, reviewing your appointments within MindBody to make sure everything's up to date. And that goes into even the instructors list once we shift into the assessment software, making sure that everything is cleaned up within there, make sure that your clients are associated to the instructors and all that fun stuff. So, and like I said, this is basically what we're going to cover today, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but this is where that resides. The Become Familiar tab. This is going to be continuously built out as we continue down through the pilot group. What our plans are with this is going to be not only documentation as far as if I'm logging in as I'm a new instructor and you want them to get acclimated to the assessment software, you would come to this site and you would say, okay, log in. And we're going to build this out so that it not only has documentation, but it's also going to have video clips as well, so that we're going to help kind of bring you through different aspects of the assessment software and different key data points that they can click on to make sure that they understand as they're walking through the system. And it's going to be the same thing from the trainer view. We're going to have you, log in. We're going to have video clips. We're going to have documentation so they can at least physically walk through the system without you having to do it on a one-on-one basis. This is going to give you a little bit better of a tool. When we jump into the how to use, this is going to be a little bit more process-oriented. So we're going to actually bring you through the whole user creation. We're going to bring you through on how to check people in, how to start the heart rate monitoring system, all of that stuff. And once again, we just have outlined what we're thinking about doing as far as building documentations and video clips around, but this is kind of where it goes through. So you can always log into this and kind of see the different aspects. So if I'm a new client creation, this is kind of the workflow, and the same thing with performance assessments. Once again, this is kind of the workflow that you want to go through within that. And this is going to be ever evolving. So as we, like I said, we go through the next 30 days, you're going to start seeing a lot more documentation and video clips pop into this. The next one is going to be the feedback forms. Now, as I was saying before, we want to make sure that we have as much communication pushed through this particular platform as possible on the website so that I'm not trying to track down emails and do different things. With this feedback form, it's actually linked back to FitMetrics as well, so they're monitoring everything that's coming in Everything that's coming in is actually getting pushed not only to me but to them as well, so that they can start building in some of the requests that we have coming in as well. And the feedback form, the way I built it out, is you can submit all kinds of different feedback. So it could be anything for the system's not working. It could be, hey, I want a different report to show something a little bit different. You want a different assessment test. This is where you do everything. So I highly recommend that anything that you have questions on, concerns on, or enhancements, this is where you'd submit all that information. And then the last one is your FAQs. So as I'm going through a lot of the feedback forms right now, there might be multiple questions that I'm seeing reoccurring. A lot of those are going to pop back into the FAQs. So if you ever have issues with or questions with the system and you kind of don't know whether or not you should submit a form or try to figure out what's going on, you can always pop onto here and see if it already is living and it's already been asked and if there's been an answer to it. If not, then I suggest that you pop back into the feedback forms and submit that question. And it can be anywhere, like you can see here, how are the heart rate zones determined to, I think somebody asked the other day, can a trainer schedule a session but have the client work out with somebody else? So it's going to be basically all kinds of questions coming in, and I'm going to try to post as much information into this as possible. So that is really the overview of the website and kind of where everything lives within it. Do you have any questions at all on the website?
I don't think so.
Perfect. If not, I will start transitioning into the second phase of it. So as you can see here, a couple of things, like I said, on the prerequisite side of things, we want to make sure that we start building and reviewing kind of the whole mind-body thing. So for example, I pulled up your studio. And as you can see here, we want to make sure that we kind of look through your staff. And as you can see here, you did a great job at making sure that your staff is current and they're all active within your studio. Now, if you flip into the actual assessment software, and then I look at your, if I look at your instructors in here, you just want to make sure that whatever you see here matches your actual mind-body. So if you see additional members within the assessment software, you can at least try to understand whether or not it's somebody that should be there. If not, you can always delete them out. What this is going to help do is just make sure it frees up and doesn't hinder on any of the communications back and forth from mind-body into the assessment software. So if you have any trainers that are out here that haven't been deactivated, but they're associated to all kinds of clients potentially, it could cause a little bit more of havoc within your system. So that's kind of the first thing that you want to do between cleaning up mind-body and the assessment software. And then the second thing that you want to do is just make sure that you kind of look through your appointments and make sure that all of your appointments and all of your trainers that show up are currently active and that all appointments are active as well. Because what happens is once we make that link into the assessment software, as you can see, we're actually sucking in all of that information from your appointment list. So if you have stuff that's laying out there that you just never took off the board, it could clutter your list within here, and it could present, if a trainer logs into your actual assessment software, it could potentially just add stuff that is not pertinent to their day, or they think their day is busier or whatever, whatnot. It could just cause a little bit more confusion within there. So once again, it's just one of those things you can look through, and it's basically this screen right here kind of coexists with this screen. So it's going to not only can see all of your appointments for all of your trainers here, but you can also do that within here as well. So you can also do the spot checking of it. And to kind of go off on a little bit of a segue on it, a lot of what I've been seeing as we're transitioning the different groups onto this assessment software is somebody might say, I'm looking at mind-body, I see, Neil is training this morning at 9 o'clock. I flip over to the assessment software. I don't see, we see Neil here, but I don't see Neil within here. What's going on? Why could this be? Some of the things that I've been kind of talking to the different studios about is we want to make sure that another piece of the data cleanup, if you're not seeing members flowing into the assessment software, it could be because you might not have a complete profile. One of the minimum requirements to actually pull information into the assessment software is that they have a first name, last name, phone number, email address. Those are kind of the minimum requirements within their MindBody profile for them to actually get pulled into the assessment software. So if you ever are working on somebody and you just don't see them in their list, or the trainer might not see them within their list, I would always spot check within MindBody first. And then if you don't actually see them in Mind, or if all that's pulled in correctly into MindBody, you just want to maybe go up here and refresh. And what that does is it makes a new data connection point into MindBody and then re-pulls back in your full list of appointments for the next, I believe it's the next 15 days, I want to say. And then it basically pulls in everything for 15 days, and then it kind of refreshes itself, I think, every 15 to 20 minutes based on that day only. So, for example, if you scroll down here and somebody cancels 2 weeks out here, it's not necessarily going to cancel on here until you get about a day or two closer to that schedule, unless you actually refresh the system, and then what it does is it does a fresh connection point to MindBody and re-pulls in the whole schedule. And if you're still not, if this trainer is still not actually seeing that particular person within their login, then the next portion would be to click on the actual user and then go to instructors and just make sure that that instructor that is trying to work with that particular client is actually associated to that individual. And the way it's working right now is when we make that first data connection point into MindBody, basically any instructor that has ever worked with that member that is on that schedule will get pulled in to the actual profile. So you don't have to worry about you know, if you have instructors that worked with that person in the past, or your studio, every instructor works with every client. If that's the case, it should already be pre-built into the conversion from MindBody into the assessment software, so that you don't have to go in and manually reassociate all of your instructors. Now, in the future, as you add more members into MindBody and you associate the clients to the instructor when you're building out your schedules, that will also get pulled into the assessment software as well. So the way it works on the back end is everything should be associated correctly, but in a troubleshooting fashion. If you're seeing it in here and you're not seeing it here, it could be either the profile's not created correctly, or they might not have the right association from instructor to client. So that's kind of on this side right here. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the instructors. This is, once again, I'm going to get back into this, I guess, a little bit. So once you clean up all of your instructors here, you can actually click into the instructor and you can update some of the different information within the instructor profile as well. What's really cool about this is as you build these out, it's actually going to expand as we expand out within the assessment software. So once we roll out the member portal, and some of the automated emails, like after they're done working out, what happens is they have access to these particular profiles, so that, let's say I'm working out in your studio, I just got done, and I get an email saying how I performed as far as my heart rate, time and zone, all of that fun stuff. It's also going to give you an opportunity to rate that instructor within that same email. So all of that data is going to get pushed back into that instructor, and then they can also pull up that instructor information within the email as well to, you know, not only see a picture, but they're going to be able to potentially contact them, or they could post it to Facebook potentially saying, I love working out with, you know, Tom the trainer and stuff like that. So one of the things that I'm letting individuals know is as you're, you know, ramping up within your studios, make sure you kind of go through your instructor list as well to update some of that information. Not all of the information is coming over from MindBody, as you can see here, but it's just basically the key pieces of data. So you have just basically first name, last name, email, and then whether their gender. Everything else is not getting pulled in, so you want to build that information out into this system. The next thing is going to be members. Within your member pool, a lot of this information is getting pulled in from MindBody, as you guys kind of know, and kind of how it's working right now is it's pulling not only inactive members, but also active members as well. So basically, let's say you are very adamant about cleaning up your mind-body list and making sure that you're only showing active members within your database. Unfortunately, this assessment software will pull over everybody. You can search by active members only, but it pulls in everything. So if you ever do want to make a search on somebody or update something, you can do that within here. So if I click on Kyle, and this is the only information that is going to get pushed back into MindBody. So if I need to update Kyle's birthday, if I update it here and save it, it actually will get pushed back into MindBody. But any other key pieces of information as far as within that member are not going to get updated. So if you have relationship tabs, anything like that, this is the only information that will get updated. And then that kind of goes into the other portion as well with the instructors. So as you saw within the appointments list, I can pull up that same profile as I can pull up within the members list by clicking on their name. So regardless of if you're trying to clean up, update, whatever it may be, you can go into either of those two links to pull up their profile. And once again, you can actually build in who's associated to what instructors and all of that fun stuff. Then you can update heart rate IDs, and that pertains more to the wearable devices. This is where you'd put that ID, I guess, of that device into here, and that's what would get picked up by the sensors to calculate the time and zone and all that other stuff. And then the last piece in here is going to be goals. And this is going to tie into a little bit more of on the trainer side of things. And I think the trainers will probably be a little bit more active within this particular screen as far as updating the different goals. And you kind of, can select from 3 different types of goals. And what that does is that actually configures what not only the member, when they sign into a portal, what it's going to focus on some of the data point calculations, but it's also going to focus on when the trainer opens up that particular user. Everybody's going to have a different type of goal, and so this is where you kind of set it so that as we're going from, Kathy, we train her and she's more focused on, lean body mass, and then we get to Tom, who's more focused on BMI. This is where you can kind of preset those, so as the members not only log in, it focuses on that, but as the trainer logs in, it kind of reminds them, okay, this is what our main goal is for the most part with that particular user. So based off of that, some of the other things in here, I'll just kind of touch on. We have our analytics report, so you can run different reports based off of, how many times, I'm trying to think here, loaner usage, heart rate tracking summary. This is the one where we had, I think we can pull in, as we're doing automated emails and people are rating instructors, you can actually pull reports on the rating values and stuff like that. And then the last piece is going to be settings. But before I get into that, did you have any questions on kind of the business login for the assessment software at all?
Will we have like a checklist that will say to go through all this of what needs to be done? Or will...
Yeah, that's a great question. I can put one together for you, actually. Let me write that down. And then I'll actually put that together and post it out to the website and send you an email or I'll send the group an email letting them know that there's a checklist to do this stuff. Okay, perfect. And then the last piece I really wanted to cover today is going to be actually getting your users set up within the system. So with that being said, if you log in, and I'll actually have you log in into FitMetrics, if you don't mind.
I'll go ahead and do it now, you said?
Yeah, go right ahead and do it now, because what I'll have you do is actually, I'm going to send you off an email of, and it's just got sent. Basically what it's going to contain, the email, and within the email you have a username and password, and that username and password is going to be, give you the ability to basically log in and see exactly what I saw today. It's going to be, I like to call it more of your business login, so it's just going to give you kind of an overarching view of everything. So you can not only see the full appointments list for the day. You can see all of the members. You can add users, delete users. You can do all kinds of different things. And the difference between it is if you are an owner and instructor, you're actually going to have two different logins. You're going to have your business side login, which I just sent off to you, and then you're also going to have your instructor side login that you're going to use as well. So I just want to make sure that you can actually
it
log
worked.
in. It worked? Okay. So when you logged in, I assume that you probably logged in. Did it go to the appointment screen at first?
Right under, yes, location, and then it has a list of all the today's schedule.
Awesome. So then from that point, what you're going to do is you're going to go over into the settings, which is on the top right tab. And then from there, you're actually going to scroll down to, on the left-hand side, you'll see users, which are three little people. So if you click on users, you should see not only your location, which basically is your business login, but you'll see John, who we've already set up as an instructor. So then what you're going to do, and you can actually create this right now, if you click on Add User, it actually brings you to another screen, and then it brings down a user type drop-down tab. And once again, location is going to be more of your business login. You're not going to do any assessments. You're not going to do any training based off of the location login. And then the next one is going to be the instructor login. So this is where you'll actually start setting up your instructors. So if you click on instructor, you're actually allowed to then, from the next drop down, find your actual instructor that you're going to create a login for, and then create their username and password. And then once you're done with that, you can save it off. Some questions have been asked, how long does the username have to be, or what do I have to put in there? I've been just using first name, last name, first letter of their first name, and then last name. It really depends on kind of how you want to set it up. And then within their password, you can either set it up now, or you can work with them and set their username up and just have them type in their own password if you want to. But you do have, as with this business login, full control to either reset passwords, or you can delete users or remove permissions from some of the users that are currently have access to that platform. So if you don't mind, you could, I don't know if you've already done it, but can you create a user just so I can make sure?
Oh, yeah, just under one of the, under instructors, create their password. Okay.
Yep. So you could create your own login if you want to.
What is canceled?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, because sometimes individuals put, they put a trainer as like a, more of your room, so that when you're doing scheduling, you could maybe just schedule it to a room instead of an instructor, because you don't know who's going to pick up that particular person. So I don't know where the class cancel came from.
I'm wondering, would it be like if we had a packed class, but then no one was in the class, and sometimes I'll go in and just cancel the class.
Very well could be.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so you want me to,
Yep.
Okay, so let's go.
And let me know when you're done with that, and then we'll try logging in.
Did you say you had a recommendation of what we should do for what we set their username, or does it really matter?
Yeah, like their username, in all honesty. Sometimes I refer back just to make it easier. You could look at your staff and kind of see what their username would be for those individuals. And for a password, you just want to make sure, I believe it needs to be at least 8 characters, and that includes 1 letter, I believe.
Oh, it has to be at least one, I see. Weird, it's not letting me select the instructor. Like it
So
says,
when you if you go to the top on the user type drop down, did you select instructor on that?
and then it says select the instructor, and it doesn't have any options. It did a moment ago. Oh. But now it says an error occurred. Instructor user type requires an instructor to be selected, but it doesn't let me.
Gotcha. So if you could go back up and just click on settings again, just to refresh the page, and then go back down to users.
Got it.
It might have been because I'm in it as well, I guess.
And then add a user, it says, and then collect add a user. I mean,
yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And filter by instructor, right? Select
Yep.
instructor. Okay, it worked.
Perfect. So let me just refresh here just to see if it actually came through. Awesome. So then what you'll do, if you could for me real quick, is actually in the top right-hand corner where it says, I believe it says your studio, maybe Santa Monica, next to the little buildings. If you click on the name and then sign out, and then it should bring you back to a login page. If you could actually log in as that user you just created, just so I can make sure that everything worked out.
Yep.
Perfect. And then when you logged in, I would assume that you probably saw within that user their appointments for the day and all that other stuff. So,
Yep.
awesome. Well, good deal. So that is how you're going to create your instructors going forward. And that's going to be one of the things that I'll put on that checklist as well, is basically just a mind-body cleanup, instructor cleanup in both platforms, and then you want to create your users. And in all honesty, once you create your users and then you have your instructors log into it, they can, like I said, either refer back to the website, or you can kind of give them just a broad overview of the system and what it looks like. And then from that point, once you're comfortable with it, if you have an assessment coming up the next day or two, you can absolutely use this system in conjunction with how you do it, currently today.
Okay.
You can either gather all of the data like you normally do and then put it into the system, right after you're done with that assessment, or you can do it on the fly as you're actually going through the assessment as well. So
Okay.
you can absolutely start using the system once you build your users into it. So
That's easy enough. Good.
yeah, yep, absolutely. And the only other thing I wanted to kind of show to you, if you want to flip back to my screen, is you run PAC classes, I believe. So what you'll notice within PAC classes, those will actually, they should show up within, as you saw here, you have appointments within your business login, and then you should also have classes. So I'm hoping if we refresh this, it'll actually bring in your PAC classes, which it did. So any of your classes, your members will actually get pulled into here as well for the PAC classes. So if you actually click into the PAC classes, you'll see your different members that were part of that PAC class. And then you're able to not only check them in within here, but you're also able to associate heart rate monitoring system and all of that other fun stuff as well. But this is going to be, once we get the heart rate monitoring system installed into your studio, this is where you're going to see some of the classes. And it's going to be the same thing that a trainer is going to see as well. So if they're training a PAC class, they would actually go in and they can start one of their classes from the side menu as well. But I just wanted to highlight this because some studios are still running the PAC classes, and this is where you would see it from your business login.
I see.
So, other than that, that's really all I have. I think one of the takeaways that I need to get back to you is just kind of a checklist of what we've we've kind of talked about as far as the cleanup within the systems, and then creating your instructors, and then from honestly that point, you are green light to start using the system within your studios on the actual members, and start collecting some of the information as far as different data points and start putting that into the system. Some of the people have asked, because I think some of them did like an assessment a couple days ago, let's say. Unfortunately, we can't retrofit some of the dates, depending on how you want to do it. If you did an assessment within the last few days, you're absolutely more than welcome to put that data into the system on those different data points, but it's all going to record as of the day you enter it. So it's not going to be able to get pushed, 3 days back or anything like that. But that's something that you can look at doing. The other thing, like I said before, a lot of people have been asking about the different assessments that we have built into the system currently. I know there's not a lot, and that's where I would refer back to if you want to submit a different request for a different type of assessment test that you're currently doing today, because I know some studios currently do this, but we don't have it within our selection pool. Certainly submit those requests, and then I'll review those with Eric and the studio that made the request to see if it's a good fit to put in as a system-wide type of assessment test. So always submit all that information through the web. But other than that, I think that's about it. So
I have I do have one other question. I don't know if it's something I'd have to ask Eric, because I remember asking it a few weeks back. So we have when we schedule someone in MBO, they have the option of scheduling them under a retest, or there's also an option as fitness assessment. And I know that it's different when they have purchased a membership versus a package, but it looks like recently he's changed it where you can select either or both. So I don't know if you know anything about that.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I'll defer it to Eric. You might want to follow up with him and see what he has to say about that.
Okay.
And see if going forward, because I know that's one of the other questions too, is we have some of the different categories on retests, assessment tests, some of the stuff like that. So I think during this initial pilot rollout, I think we're going to kind of configure the system a little bit more to be uniform, so that if we're calling a retest, it's actually a retest versus how some other studios are talking about it as well. So
okay,
that's a great point. But yeah, I would follow up with Eric.
Okay.
You could also, if possible, I don't want to be redundant in it, but you can also submit it through the website and just put that out there, so at least I have a record of it.
Okay.
And then I can make a follow-up, because I'm meeting with Eric on this weekly to kind of review some of the sticky points and some of the different data stuff. So absolutely.
Perfect.
Cool. Well, I will get that information out to you, and like I said, I did record this. I know, Rick, you popped on a little bit into it, but I recorded everything, and I'm going to email the recording out to you guys so you can rewatch anything that you missed. And if you do have any additional questions for this next week as you're onboarding it, feel free to give me a call or an email just to make sure that you're on the right path. And then starting next week, if you could use the website a little bit more, that would be great. So, cool.
All right, thanks, Tony.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and if you do have any other questions, like I said, give me a holler. If not, enjoy the day.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.